Welcome to Was It Worth It, the series that helps you decide if a game will be worth your time, see honest gameplay, and get honest opinions about popular games that I have played. In this video, I will be giving a spoiler-free review of my experiences playing the Hellblade duology, aka Hellblade 1 and 2. Don't let the past stop you. Don't let it drag you down. The hardest battles are fought in the mind. The worst pain, the cruelest blows, they make us who we are. If you're looking for a psychological horror game with a rich story that deals with mental health and is set in the Viking Age, then Hellblade 1 and 2 is for you. The story follows Senua, a Celtic warrior who, in the first game, is on a quest into Viking hell to redeem the soul of her dead lover, and in the second game, obviously as a sequel, it expands upon this plot. Both games are relatively short by today's standards, both sitting around 6 to 10 hours of gameplay depending on if you want to experience everything the game has to offer. They are also both relatively cheap compared to most games nowadays, especially the first one, mainly because it's an older game. My name is Tenlow, and we are about to explore if Hellblade's experience was worth it. Now let's discuss what made these games fun. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this game was the atmosphere that the developers created. In my experience, it made me anxious at times, and it gave a real gravity to each situation that you were presented with. I could really imagine myself being inside of Senua's world and inside of her mind. And that kind of plays into the next topic, is the sound design on this game. One of the specific parts of the sound design being the voices. So if you do choose to play these games, or one of them, I really recommend using a headset because this game has 3D sound and the voices are something that I've never experienced before when gaming. It really gives you a sense that there are voices inside of your head and you can hear them from different directions. They both encourage you, they try to tear you down, they make you question the decisions that you're making. It's really like having a conversation inside of your head with multiple people that have the same voice, which is not something that I personally have in my head, so that was a very unique experience for me. Speaking of experiences, the story. This game was a roller coaster in all senses of the word. It has its ups and its downs at multiple points in the game, and it gets you to really feel for Senua's character. I think this is a good time to mention that the first game has a lot of focus on Senua herself and her own mental struggles and her quest to save her deceased lover's soul. As for the second game, it deals a lot with other people's mental struggles, not just her own. It still has her own, but it ties that in with how other people's minds work and what other people struggle with as well, and kind of seeing the common occurrences and beginning to build a bridge between the two without giving any spoilers away. I find it very rare that games have stories that are this impactful on me personally, and that's because I have loved ones myself who struggle with mental health, and this gave me some insight into what they experience and helped me feel a little bit closer to them. Now into the more of the stuff that I normally look for in gaming, the combat. The combat is very bare bones in this game, but I think that's for the best in what they were aiming for with this game. Yeah, it would have been nice, but that also would have meant an increase in the price. So if you're in it for combat, this isn't the best game, but it still has its satisfying moments. They did do a good job with what they did, but again, it's not something like Dark Souls. And as for the graphics, they were amazing. Now, all of the footage was recorded on PC because that's all I'm able to record videos for you guys on. So I'm not sure what the graphics are like on console. However, through my personal experience and having played it on the PC, the graphics were absolutely gorgeous. And I have a decent computer. By no means is it the best computer. So it was nice that I was able to enjoy some of the higher settings for this game on my computer, and it still performed very well in the second game. As for the things that I didn't like about this game, with the first game, I did have some performance issues in regards to whenever I moved the camera, it would be a bit jumpy. But with the second game, I had no issues. But it was nothing to the degree that I just couldn't play the game. It was just a minor annoyance, if anything. I wasn't able to fix it, but that's not to say you wouldn't be able to. And I doubt that the game would have the issue on consoles. I play on PC and am relatively new to it, so it may have just been a setting that I didn't realize was causing those issues. The main thing that I didn't like about these games were the visual puzzles, and honestly, I wouldn't even say it would go as far as to not liking them, because I can see how they tie into the story and the gameplay and why they chose visual puzzles. They work as far as that's concerned. However, at times, especially in the first game before they improved on it in the second game, you can get lost and not be able to find out what you're needing to do next. Because there's not exactly a tutorial, it's more of a throwing at you in the deep end type situation, which they're not very difficult, it's just a matter of figuring it out in the first place. And the specific moments I'm recalling here were a few moments where I got stuck between 5 and 10 minutes on one part trying to figure out this puzzle, and I was just running around the area looking for the specific pattern that it was needing me to find in order to unlock the doorway for me to move on to the next area. The second game kind of streamlined the process and also made things more obvious, so it cut down on it a lot. So I found the second game a lot more enjoyable in that regard. Also, to tie into earlier, the combat, it was simplistic by most game standards, so it did get a bit repetitive after a while, both in the first game and the second game, because not a lot really changes between the first and second game. In fact, the second game actually gets a little bit harder because of the parry mechanic. The window is a lot smaller in the second game, so you're not able to get as many satisfying parries, though both combat systems did feel pretty good. It is just minor gripe on my part. And that's kind of it for what I didn't like about the game. I would like to make a bit of a disclaimer that this game is not for everyone, because it can be triggering for some people, especially those who have struggled with mental issues in the past, or specifically even the mental issues that the game tackles. For example, my wife joined in while I was playing for a bit, and she let me know that it was setting off some of her triggers, so she had to stop and let me enjoy the game on my own. Though she did mention that it was nice that there was something for me to experience that kind of shared that experience of hers for us to have a discussion about it. Now, to answer the question that you came here for, was the Hellblade duology worth it? Yeah, I would definitely say that these games were worth it, and I recommend you give it a try, especially if you're interested in mental health issues and how they can affect someone, as well as if you're looking for something with a compelling story. This story I found was a very pull on your heartstrings type of story. Also, if you like horror, this is the place to be. I'm not a big horror fan myself, but with the horror games that I have played in the past and this one is definitely at the top of that list, limited as it is. As for the rating that I would give this game, I would give it about a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed these games, both of them, and recommend you give it a try. Unless, of course, it deals with a mental issue that you might struggle with that might trigger you. But that one is at your own risk. However, if I'm going to be honest here, if you were concerned about that, I don't think you'd be listening this far into the video. And on that same note, if you're still watching, I think this is a good game for you because you obviously seem interested. Either that or you like the sound of my voice. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this far and taking the time to hear if I found these games worth it. My name is Tenlow, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.